Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking to simplify your life and organize your home, then you're in the right place. Every week, we invite you to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Friends, we have a really cool product over in our workshop that we would love to tell you about. It is our Friendship Workbook. It's the perfect place for you to tend to all the important friendships in your life. You'll find all sorts of creative pages where you can keep track of all of your friends' favorite things, all the important dates in their life, and it can really serve as a hub for some of the most important relationships in your life. So head over to emilylay.com to check them out. The other day, I came across a headline in the Wall Street Journal that stopped me in my tracks. It was an article about the number one factor for long-term health and happiness, which has been studied by a research group at Harvard for more than 85 years. Do you know what they found? More than money, more than career success, more than exercise and a healthy diet, the number one factor for long-term health and happiness is cultivating good relationships. If you want to make one decision to ensure your own health and happiness, the article says, it should be to cultivate warm relationships of all kinds. And that includes friendships. It seems like every person I encounter as an adult says, I wish I had more friends. I've said it too, but when I was a kid, I don't ever remember saying that. School made it easy to make and keep friends because we got to see them every day. We got to sit side by side in class, run together around the playground. 30 years later, a lot of times, it feels like we're in the Wild West of friendship. There are so many ways to connect to people online and off that it feels kind of overwhelming at times. And when making a choice feels overwhelming, sometimes the choice we make is to withdraw and make no choice at all. Another day, we think, I'll make time for this another day. But another day never really comes. That's not what I want for my life, and I bet it's not what you want for yours either. And the same is true for my guest today, author and podcaster Laura Tremaine. Laura spent so much of her adult life thinking about women and relationships, which you may have heard her talk about on her excellent podcast, 10 Things to Tell You. And Laura is a trustworthy guide here because she shares her stuff. And we all have stuff, don't we? She's been in lonely seasons when, after a thriving career in the film and television industry in LA, she stayed home to raise her 2 kids while her husband Jeff went back to work as a director. She's seen the power of cultivating deep, rich friendships, and she's been on the receiving end of some not-so-great feedback in those relationships, when friends told her that she could and should do more to keep those relationships thriving. Ugh. How often have we all been there on both sides of that equation? I know I have. Now in her 40s, Laura's woven a rich tapestry of friends, which she writes about in her latest book called The Life Council, 10 Friends Every Woman Needs. I highly encourage you guys to pick up this book because I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to help you see all the beautiful ways that someone can be a friend. That is so helpful. Because maybe you wish someone would be what Laura calls a daily duty friend, someone you share your life with day in and day out. Or maybe you deeply appreciate your business besties, the women you talk shop with. Or maybe you feel like it's time to make a new friend. There's beauty in that too, in connecting with people who don't know your whole history yet. There's so much beauty in all of these relationships. What I also love about this book is that Laura is an open book. She tells you where she's great at friendships and where she's really had to work at being a better friend. She tells you about all the times she screwed up and doesn't sugarcoat it. That kind of candor is so refreshing and relatable because we've all screwed up in our friendships. We all haven't done enough. We've said the dumb thing. We've left someone out accidentally and sometimes not. She normalizes what adult friendship looks like. Good, bad, awkward, the wonderful. Consider this a handy field guide as you make your way through friendship. I loved this chat with Laura. I know you're going to love it too, so let's get to it. Here's my conversation with writer and podcaster Laura Tremaine. Hi, friend. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. This is just audio, so people can't see your gorgeous bookshelves behind you, but I love them.
Listen, Emily, this is not real. This is a screen, a Zoom screen.
No.
Because, yes, I promise.
Really?
Because if you could see what was really behind me, it would be my actual closet, which would be like my literal jeans and shoes.
I'm dying. But closets really do make for the best podcast studios, so I understand. But also, it's still a very beautiful screen behind you.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you for coming on and for doing this. I have been dying to have you on the podcast for some time now, and I'm excited for anyone who doesn't already know you to get to know you. So could you just introduce yourself to everyone and tell them all about what you do?
You are so kind. I'm thrilled to be here and finally be talking to you in person. I've followed you for so long. We've talked online, and now
Yes.
here we are finally chatting together. My name is Laura Tremaine. I am a author and a podcaster. I've been doing this online thing for a very long time. I started as a mom blogger in 2010 when I had a brand new baby, and I had just left a career in reality television production. I live in Los Angeles. I had been doing reality TV for a long time and wanted to get out of it, had a baby, started a mommy blog. And my whole life changed because I was actually in a season of loneliness at that time. None of my friends in LA had children yet.
Mm-hmm.
All of my friends in Oklahoma, where I'm from, were years ahead of me. They had like school-aged children. So I just found myself in this very weird middle place in family life and like quitting one career and trying to start another one.
Yeah.
But blogging changed everything for me. I met friends on the internet. I started sharing my feelings. I really deeply wanted to be a writer. I moved to Los Angeles to be a writer. And so the television thing was sort of a detour. I got back to my roots with blogging, and I blogged for a long time. Like many of us, I segued into podcasting
Mm-hmm.
and really found my voice that way, actually. That's my story.
Talk to us about your new book, about this idea of having a life council. What is it? Where'd you hear about it? How has it changed the way that you view life and friendships in general?
So the new book is called The Life Council: 10 Friends Every Woman Needs.
Yeah.
And I actually first heard about the concept of a life council from a friend I met on the internet.
That's awesome.
We were together in person, like at a little mini retreat, but we had met online. We'd actually ended up meeting in person at a blog conference. And we had formed this group of other bloggers that became very, very important. We became very important to one another, this group, but we were pretty radically different personalities. Even though we were all blogging, we were in different stages of life. We were in age range by 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were really different. And she brought up, we have become one another's life counsel because we're each bringing something different to the table.
Yeah.
Her husband is like an esteemed businessman. And so I think she was thinking like an advisory board that you have, like, you know, that runs your company. And she was like, that's what we have become as friends. And it immediately like lit me up, this idea of having a life council and having different people that bring different things to our life. And maybe that happens for some of us naturally, but doing it intentionally instead of constantly seeking like a best friend or a soulmate, or I think that we think that adult friendship or friendship in general, because a lot of times we learn these things when we're very young, we think that friendship looks a certain way. Like, oh, a best friend means that you have to call them every day, or this is what this relationship looks like. You live next door to each other, or you have the same interests, or whatever. We get this idea from pop culture or from what we learned in elementary school of what friendship looks like. And then we get to adulthood where we are running businesses and being a mom and dealing with aging parents and dealing with all these life things. And we don't understand why we don't have these friendships that look like the movies.
Right.
And I heard on my podcast and online all the time women having friendship angst.
Yeah.
And I was having friendship angst too. Like people go through friendship breakups. They don't want certain friends to be involved with their business life, let's say, and they don't want their work friends to like spill over into their social life. Like people have a lot of tangled up of like what the etiquette is, what the relationship is, how do I make new friends? I was just hearing this friendship angst all the time. And even for myself, I felt like, all right, let's have a little bit of a framework.
Yeah.
Let's like redefine what adult friendship looks like. Because for me, I have compartmentalized some of my friendships and it actually works. It makes it feel like I don't have to have my mom friend from the volleyball game. Like she's not going to be invited to my anniversary party, let's say. And then my old friend from childhood, I just don't need to talk to her about work. Like we can compartmentalize these things and the relationships can still be very fulfilling. And also fulfilling relationships don't have to be super deep. Shallow friendships have a place.
No, I totally agree. That's so true. I think that this whole concept is fascinating because we did a podcast way back in the beginning with one of my best friends, Kristen Winchester, where we talked about how to make friends as a grown-up. And it's one of the most listened to episodes because it's something that we all deal with, you know? And we all kind of struggle. We all want to be known and we all want to be part of something or part of a friendship or part of a group. But sometimes when you're an adult and you're super busy and you're going in 19 different directions, it's hard to find that. So I love what you say about being able to compartmentalize those and honoring friendships who are more surface and the ones that are more deep and the ones that are seasonal. That's been something I've had to come, face to face with, is that some friends are there for a season and that's okay, so that's really cool.
I also really want to like encourage people to not dismiss acquaintances that are in our life. Like I said, the mom that you see every day or the neighbor that you see or someone that you know in a very limited space. I think we think, oh, well, like I can't really be that connected to them. But I want to be like, yes, kind of give them a title in your mind only. You don't need to like be giving people.
Tell them that, right?
Yes. But like think actually, like I love the word, you just use the word honor. And I really love that. Be like, actually, the mom that I have to see at school volunteer day every single Thursday, sure, I don't see her any other time outside of this, but I'm going to honor our hour together. And that's going to be great. I can leave the school feeling connected in that hour that I had with this person that I see every week, instead of sometimes we leave these interactions and because it didn't go deep or because the chemistry wasn't 1,000%, we leave those interactions feeling like sad or something. And instead of reframing it and being like, oh no, like I had a great hour and that's the end of it.
I think that's so important. I sometimes leave those interactions feeling awkward. Like I want to go through everything I just said and like, was I oversharing? Did I like say something weird? Because we weren't immediately best friends sharing like our life history, which I have a couple of friends who are like that. We just immediately fell into rhythm and, are very close. But yeah, that we all deal with that. That's so true. From curling and straightening to hairspray and over bleaching, we've all done some damage to our hair over the years. I am definitely guilty of over straightening my hair, but I can't help it, you guys. There is not enough curl in it for beachy waves, and I don't want to look like a frisball. Has it ever made my hair thin and a little brittle? Probably. So if you're like me and struggle to get longer, thicker hair after years of damage, you have got to give Vegamour a try. With Vegamour, you can get healthy, beautiful hair without the use of harmful chemicals. All their products are cruelty-free and never contain parabens or hormones. I've been on a quest for better-for-me products this year, and Vegamour fits the bill. I've been using their Grow Revitalizing Shampoo and Conditioner Kit for a few months, and I love what it's done to my hair. It is so much thicker and stronger even after I straighten it. I love it. So don't let damage of the past hold your hair back. See your hair's full potential with Vegamour. Go to vegamour.com/simplified and use code SIMPLIFIED to save 20% off your first order. That's vegamour.com/simplified and use code SIMPLIFIED to save 20%. vegamour.com/simplified.
The Simplified podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. One of the best things about getting older is understanding yourself a bit more, because when you know yourself, you trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you can walk through the world with a lot more peace. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Therapy is helpful when you're in a crisis, but it's great to have in the normal times too. It's so helpful to have a sounding board who can show you a new way to process your feelings or find a different way to move through life. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, super flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/simplified today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/simplified.
What about for you? What kind of friend are you? And like, how do we know what kind of friend we are in that scenario?
Well, okay, so I lay out in the book 10 friends every woman needs.
Yeah.
They're my life counsel. Like I have a business bestie, a daily duty friend, an old friend, a soul sister,
Yeah.
a battle buddy. Like these are the people in my life that I have kind of compartmentalized and that I definitely simplified down,
Yeah.
pun intended, simplified down for the book purposes,
Yes.
right? Like obviously relationships are more complicated than that. But I do want readers to read my archetypes of friendships and then think, okay, well, I don't work outside the home, so I'm not going to have a business bestie.
Yeah.
But who fulfills this role like similarly?
Yeah.
You know, who's a fellow volunteer, who whatever is happening in your life. And so that's what I'm encouraging others to do. In my life, like I felt ill-equipped to write this book because I don't feel like a friendship expert and I've had friendship mistakes over the last few years. I've had some hardships in my friendships where I have not nailed it.
We all do.
But I also have sort of a lifetime history of very rich friendships. I am from a really tiny town in Oklahoma. And so when you're from a small town, there's a bond there with the people that you went to school with that just is irreplaceable to me.
Yeah.
I went to summer camp as a kid, same thing. I'm still very bonded to people I knew when I was a child. In college, I was in a sorority. So again, that was like friendship served up on a platter.
Yeah.
So I had like a long history of having a lot of good friends. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I realized that that is not like, it's not always served up like that.
Yeah, right. It doesn't
always
necessarily translate over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I spent a good couple of years in LA being like, why can't I make friends? Like,
been there.
Is there something the matter with me? Are the girlfriend rules different here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a nice person. She seems like a nice person. What's the miss?
Clicking.
I don't.
Right.
And then I mean, it took me a long time to realize that there is work to it. And I feel like we don't talk about this. We talk about the work of marriage.
Right.
We talk about the work of parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
We expect that friendship is going to be like just natural.
Yeah.
And click right along. And that has not been true for me. In this very busy season of my 30s and 40s, I have to put friendship on my literal to-do list. Like I have my work to-do list and my personal to-do list, and then I have a relationship to-do list that literally includes things like call Kendra back or whatever.
Yeah. It's like tending to those things, like taking care of like a garden, you know? I've kind of been through the same thing where I moved to Tampa after Brian and I got married and left all my, Pensacola friends back home and got there and was immediately like very lonely, like missed those tried and true friendships that I had back in Pensacola and immediately was like, what's wrong with me? These people don't operate the same as me. But it was just a new compartment. It was beautiful in its own way, but it's so hard. I know. Well, so drilling down into those types of friendships and like their place on our life council, I want to know a little bit more about the kind of like holy grail friends, the daily duty friend. I think that this is such a cool concept. Like, what kind of friend is she? Have you found yours? How did you find yours? And you didn't have one of these until recently, right?
I feel like the holy grail friend is the daily duty friend.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did not have one until I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I probably had a daily duty friend when I was much younger and you see each other daily at school.
Right. Yeah.
So what I mean by daily duty friend is the person that you communicate with almost daily.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that type of friend. I mean, I didn't have the friend that I wanted that could just come into your house without knocking, the kind of friend who knows your Starbucks order and just brings it to you, like the sort of unspoken thing. It happened for me because I feel like I've mentioned volleyball on this conversation 10 times, but
I get it though. I get it.
But she was already a dear mom friend. We were in sort of this, our girls are the same age, in the same class in elementary school. And we sort of had a mom friend circle, and we were in this same circle, and I loved her very much. But she didn't become a daily duty friend for me until both of our kids were playing club sports and we had to start carpooling.
Yes.
Well, carpooling was like almost every day. So I actually do feel a deep soul level connection with my daily duty friend that I write about in the book. Her name is Julie. I also have noticed, now that I've just paid a lot of attention to friendships, that your daily duty friend actually does not have to be your soul sister, which is a different archetype for me.
Yeah.
The benefit of a daily duty friend is just the dailiness. Like someone who sees you every day, who sees you without your bra.
Right.
Who you can text and like not ask how they are.
Right. There's no formality.
Yes. You're in a sort of a constant life conversation.
Yeah.
And while I do have like a deep connection with mine, I can really see how it doesn't have to be that way. A daily duty friend can be saving your life and can also be seasonal. Like you can be like, this is my daily duty friend. I live in an apartment and this is the person I see every day. They live next door. They take care of my cats.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not going to be in my wedding.
Right.
And so it's the holy grailness of like why I think that is because whether or not you have a soul connection, if they see you every single day, you are known. You are known.
You are known for sure. Yeah. I totally agree. I think my friend, my daily duty friend, is similar to your Julie. Like we are very best friends on a soul level, but she's also the person that I can call randomly without even saying hello and just be like, why is basketball practice canceled? Like, what is going on? That was me yesterday. Like, why is my daughter coming out of school? She's supposed to be in basketball. And she's like, it was canceled. You missed the email. You were out of town. I'm like, fine. Okay. And then she says to me, I should have called you and told you because I knew you would miss the email because I knew you were out of town. But that's the kind of life stuff that, oh, what a precious friendship that is. She's the one that would come over here. Like I had surgery a couple years ago and I remember in my like medicated fog hearing her voice and being like, why is Jane in my living room? Well, she brought dinner. That's why. And she's here getting my kids ready. Nobody asked her to. She just showed up. It's the best. I just think that's like the most amazing kind of friend.
But we're lucky that we have a Julie and a Jane because I think that everybody thinks that you're supposed to have that person throughout your life. And I think it's rare.
Yeah. I didn't have it until we moved home. And I was at an age and a place where I allowed myself to be imperfect in front of other people and didn't feel like I had to put up the facade. Like, oh, you're coming to my house? Wait an hour. Let me get everything cleaned up. And then you can come over. It's kind of more like, come on in. This is my mess.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's true for me too. I've never even thought of that I wouldn't have even almost allowed a daily duty friend in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like when my twins were tiny, my friend Kristen, we lived in the same town back then, and she would just come over and be like, I knew it was bath time, and I was just going to come help you get these kids made because my husband would travel a lot. And I was like, okay. And I was so appreciative, but my house was a disaster. And I had to be in that place where I'm like, I don't care anymore. But that's important. Talk to me about a business bestie, because I think that this concept is fascinating. And I love the idea that maybe you get along personally, but what you really do for each other is you dream together, you strategize, you push each other, you support each other in your careers, and you have a mastermind group, right? And you guys are all like, you're all so different. Your personalities are so different and the types of work you do. So tell us about that aspect and that kind of genre of friendship.
Okay, so I'll tell you about the business besties in general, and then I'll tell you about my mastermind because I cannot speak highly of them enough.
Yeah.
So the business bestie concept, I've had numerous over my lifetime because I started working, in college. We work a lot of our life and we work literally a lot of hours in our life. So if you're at work 8 or more hours a day, like most of us are, That's a huge chunk of your life. And sometimes whatever your job is, whatever industry you're in, your outside of work friends, like your sort of normal friends, they do not understand a humongous part of your day.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you could explain it to them, but they don't really get it.
Yeah.
And so like the value of having a business bestie, if it's a person who's the next cubicle over, if it's, you know, the person you work beside at the counter, or in my case, if it's people who are doing other online work, which is a really lonely and isolating, like solo job mostly, then you can do all the things that bond you in a business way. You can like grump about the boss. You know, you can share like where to grab lunch around wherever you are. You know, you can stop down and talk shop.
Yeah.
You can troubleshoot. But there's somebody that gets something that most likely other people in your life don't get.
Yeah.
And so what I loved about it when I was blogging and I would go to these blog conferences because blogging was such a solo activity.
It really is.
And especially was then when I didn't have like a team and like all the things.
Yeah.
And so when I would go to these blogging conferences, and this applies to whatever your job is, if you can go to a gathering of people who are doing the same thing, I found it to be such an enormous relief to like talk about just nerdy things like, how do I grow my email list?
Yes.
I mean, if I said to my daily duty friend, Julie, who is barely on the internet, how do I grow my email list?
You're like, what?
I mean, she doesn't even know. She's like, you have an email list? Now, to my actual mastermind, we talked about this online. So my mastermind is comprised of Kendra Adachi, the lazy genius, Jamie Golden, co-host of the podcast, and Bree McCoy, who's an author and amazing on Instagram. She teaches people how to cook. Love all three of those women. So there's 4 of us total, which I think is a great size for a mastermind it's not too big. We can still go deep. Now we have been in this group together. We meet once a month. We talk on the Voxer app. We text. We do all of those things multiple times a week.
Yeah.
I mean, we only meet once a month, but we're in communication all the time. Now we've been together for many years. And so just because life happens, we have become more personal friends.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, we had this solid understanding that we were all nice people and we were all good at our jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did not want to hear about anyone else's like personal life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we just talked about work.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was amazing because I was kind of struggling there for a few years. And it was a relief to not have to talk about my personal struggles. Like we could literally only talk about podcast downloads.
I love that.
And because they're caring women, they would maybe check in. Hey, you doing okay? But if I was like, I'm good, that was it. We didn't require like a soul searching conversation. We're like back to work.
Right.
And we would talk about work. And there was such a relief in that for me to not have to bring my full self to this relationship. And again, I think that's opposite because most of the time we hear this advice to bring your full self to everything.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I only want my work self in this capacity. It's a relief to me to only be my work self here.
Mm-hmm.
So again, those relationships have really evolved. They're some of my dearest, most wonderful friends. But I had the years where I could see the value in a business bestie who would pick up the phone late at night in the same way that a personal bestie would pick up the phone. But the topics were really different.
Yeah.
Like they know it's an emergency. It's probably a work emergency.
Right. But I think it's so important to have those kinds of friends that you can have those tactical conversations with that you might not be able to have with other people in the business world. Like there's a level of distrust that happens until you have that really special group or that person that you can go to and be like, how do you do this? Because no one's talking about it. We're all dealing with the stupid Instagram algorithm. Like, how do you manage it, you know?
When I was in a business group where we shared numbers, it is so eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like for better or worse, you realize like, I'm not getting paid enough.
Yeah.
Or I might need to adjust my expectations or whatever. But you have to be in a trusted relationship and you have to sort of be candid about some of those things. But I'm mentioning it in women because I think it can change women in business. I think women get paid less because they actually don't even know what the rate is.
It's so true. It is so true. It's like shooting in the dark sometimes because you're right. No one talks about it.
Yeah.
You also unapologetically say that your husband is not your best friend. I have to hear more about this because I think that this is fascinating.
I feel really strongly about this.
I actually love it. So tell me more.
Well, and whenever I say online or anywhere, if I say like my husband is not my best friend, people immediately think we're headed to divorce.
That's so funny.
People are like, oh, because it's the party line, right? You're supposed to be like, I married my best friend.
My best friend. Yeah.
I understand why that's a phrase or why that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I do just want to reiterate, like, my husband is the most important person in my life.
Yeah.
He's like my first call, the last person I ever want to talk to. Like, he is the most important person in my life. He is not my best friend.
Right.
He's my husband.
Right. And it's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Like, it's different in good ways and in important ways. Like, he's a life partner. He's a co-parent. We make enormous decisions together. My best friends fill different roles. We don't make the financial decisions together.
Thank goodness.
Like, I mean, there's still a partnership to long-term friendships, but it's really different. It's so different. And when I got into trouble, or why I even started talking about this, is because my lonely years that I've always talked about was early in my marriage. So I was a newlywed, I had a new baby, I was lonely, and I leaned hard into my husband. We actually had been friends for years before we started dating and got married. And so our friendship, our foundation of relationship was very strong. And I leaned so hard into my husband as my best friend, I almost choked us both to death. I mean, he works a lot. He would travel. I became like needy, or, when he was my end all be all, it was actually really bad for our marriage.
Yeah, I get that.
When I had this balance of like friends, girlfriends, we would do nights out together or girls' weekends, or even just talk on the phone for a couple of hours. He doesn't want to talk to me for 2 hours about whatever.
Right. Not after we've been parenting all night long. No, I get it.
The analysis of everything. Like, I need to do that with my girlfriend.
Brian actually said that to me the other day. He was like, "Are you always in your head?" And I was like, "Yes. What do you mean?"
Like,
you're always analyzing everything. And I was like, "Isn't that what life is? Like, that's what, that's what we do."
Thank you. I agree.
Right.
But our husbands, not so much.
Not
Jeff
so
just
much.
He needs the information, and then
and he moves
that's
on.
it.
That's it. We're good. Moving on. That's so funny. I love that. I think that's really interesting. I've always said the same thing, like Brian's my very best friend. But really, like it is such a different relationship. And when you lean too hard into that, our stories are similar. Like when we moved to Tampa, I was a newlywed. I had, eventually a new baby. And I was so lonely, and he was my only person. I only had him. And so it was a tough time because I was like choking us both, like you said. It's so true. So true.
It also elevates both roles. I think when you conflate the two roles, it makes it sort of gray. And I'm like, no, I would rather elevate both roles. My husband is my husband.
Yeah.
That is a whole different thing. My best friend, and I'm lucky enough to have a few of them, it elevates their role. It doesn't water down either of them. I don't want to cross-pollinate.
You got no cross-pollinating. That's so funny.
Have you ever found an old receipt in your purse and thought, man, things used to cost less a few years ago? Rising costs can stretch your budget, but they don't have to stress you out. If you're looking for ways to trim your bills and add some cash back into your budget, you've got to try Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that streaming app you signed up for to watch one show, or that free gaming trial you never actually used. Our girls have all kinds of end of the school year expenses coming up, so I'm trying to trim a few things out of our budget. Rocket Money helped me find and cancel a subscription for a white noise app I wasn't really using and a plant identifier app we got for one of the girls' school projects, and I'll end up saving $210 this year. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/simplified. That's rocketmoney.com/simplified. rocketmoney.com/simplified. Spring is here, you guys, which means it's time to spruce up the backyard. Usually that means we have to spend a whole weekend at the plant nursery fighting the crowds and cleaning up mulch from the back of my car. But not this year, thanks to fastgrowingtrees.com. From shade plants and fresh fruit to privacy and natural beauty, let fastgrowingtrees.com help you plant your dream garden. They have all kinds of easy to grow plants, shrubs, and trees that'll thrive in your growing zone, from Meyer lemons to evergreens and everything in between. And with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, you know everything will look great right out of the box. I love flowers, and lucky for me, fastgrowingtrees.com has easy to care for plants like azaleas and hydrangeas and even roses. We just got a few double knockout roses that were super green and healthy when they arrived. They were super easy to plant too, and I cannot wait until they start blooming. So this spring, join over 1.5 million happy fast growing tree customers. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com/simplified now to get 15% off your entire order. That's 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com/simplified.
Well, I have three rapid fire questions. That's what we always do at the end of all of our episodes. But whatever comes to your brain, you just spit it out, okay?
Okay.
Number one, your favorite way to find a new friend.
Online.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I love it. How do you do it? What's the tactical way?
Well, this is complicated, and it really, your personality matters, because I'm very comfortable communicating online, and I know that a lot of people are not.
Right.
But I like a Facebook group. You can meet the best people in Facebook groups.
It's so true. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I'm a Facebook group commenter and sort of connector. And then it ends up moving to DM or private message or whatever. And then after a while, you exchange phone numbers and you text.
Yeah.
Sort of a natural progression. But I am an introvert. I'm comfortable behind a screen.
That's good, though. I like that. I can totally see that, too. I think I've actually made some close friends that way. And you just put yourself out there a little bit and comment and like and connect. That's good. Okay, number two, your go-to menu when you have people over.
Okay, this is kind of hard to explain, but I make these spicy pork noodles that I've made forever. And they are, as long as people can eat meat or eat pork specifically, they are such a huge hit and they're easy. I can make them in my sleep. I'll send you the recipe.
Okay,
and then I just serve like bread. It's easy. I like just a one. When I have people over, I want just like a one pot. Like I don't need 4 courses or 5 sides or whatever. Like too hard.
Same. We used to, when our kids were tiny, we would do like pizza and salad, and we would order pizza and I'd make a salad. We call it a day. It's easy peasy.
The spicy pork noodles are sort of a variation on, it's like an Asian variation on like spaghetti and meatballs. So it's a different flavor, but it's sort of just like, I mean, it's like warm carbs.
Does it get any better?
Right.
No. That's awesome. A fictional character you wish was your best friend.
Okay. This is, well, it's not too obscure, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sally J. Friedman. So she's the Judy Blume book starring Sally J. Friedman as herself.
Yeah. I love Judy Blume.
Yes. I love her. Sally, I like when I go to Starbucks, Sally is my name, like that I give them.
Stop it. Are you serious? That's so funny. I've never thought of coming up with a Starbucks name. I'm going to use that now. That's great. Your go-to way to celebrate a friend's milestone or accomplishment?
Well, I just love a boozy brunch. Am I allowed to say that?
Of course. Who doesn't?
I love a boozy brunch. And I think it feels celebratory. For me, it's sort of more fun than like a dinner, like end of the day dinner. It feels like it's up in the day. We have mimosas. It feels festive. And in Los Angeles, well, I'm sure this is true anywhere sunny, there's a lot of places where you could like sit outside and there's like umbrellas and like, that's what my friends and I do. A boozy brunch.
Oh, I love that. Laura, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on and chatting and telling us all about, I'm just so excited to get my hands on your new book. I think that this matters infinitely.
Thank you for having me on. This was super fun.
Of course. And tell everybody where they can find you and where they can get a copy of your new book.
My website is lauratremaine.com. You can find my podcast there, my books. The new book is called The Life Council, 10 Friends Every Woman Needs, and you can find it at thelifecouncilbook.com.
thelifecouncilbook.com. Got it. Well, thank you so much. That was such a fun podcast. I loved interviewing Laura. I have followed her forever and ever, and I just think that she is so wise when it comes to tending to, nurturing, and honoring friendships in different seasons and of different types. As we close out this episode, I'd like to say a blessing for you as we leave this time together and get back to our days. Laura had a poem at the beginning of her book that I absolutely love. It's by a poet named David Gate, who you should definitely go follow on Instagram because his words are so beautiful. I think this poem fits exactly what we talked about today. Be kind about the names your friends pick for their children. Praise their haircuts. Love their tattoos. It doesn't really matter if that's what you would do. Like every selfie, all of them. Clap their songs, cheer them on. You were born with a limitless supply of encouragements. Use every one of them. Don't wait for the eulogies to speak out loud that your friends are precious and they make you feel proud. As always, I'd like to leave a little tip to help you put what we've talked about today into practice. So here is your task for this week. One of the ways Laura remembers to care for her friends is to literally set reminders to connect with them. I know that might not seem like an easy breezy way to care for your friends. You might not feel like it's organic, but sometimes when you're in the midst of the maelstrom, that's what caring for someone looks like. It looks like intention. So if that's you, if you feel like you need reminders to reach out, start doing it. I do it. You don't have to go gangbusters and put everyone in your reminders app all at one time. Maybe start small. Maybe start with one reminder to reach out to a friend you don't see every day, or even every week. Even a casual, just thinking about you is something she'd appreciate. I know I would. Thank you for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope today's episode gave you a new perspective on the kinds of friends you already have and the kind of friend you already are. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, where you can check out links and resources I mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products. You can also find my new book, Sure as the Sunrise, 100 Morning Meditations on God's Mercy and Delight, right now wherever you buy books. And if you want these kinds of great conversations in your life every week, you should go follow our show. It'll show up right in your phone. Talk about automated. Till next time, thanks for listening. Bye.